Hi, I'm Jeannie Lauren Dowden for Conduit News, and today we have Dr. Patrick Wolf joining us in the studio. As many of you know, he is a distinguished professor of education policy at the University of Arkansas, also interim department chair there, and one of our very favorite school choice experts. He's here to break down Governor Sanders' recent education plan, Arkansas Learns, that she just unveiled. Hi.
Hi, Jenny.
Thank you so much for coming back in to see us here at Conduit. We always really appreciate everything that you have to say.
Happy to be here.
All right. Governor Sanders recently unveiled her Arkansas Learns. It's a big education plan, proposed legislation. We haven't seen the bill yet. We're anxiously awaiting. But talk to us about what the governor spoke about, what the plan looks like, and just kind of break down those details that we have so far.
Sure. Let's start with the parent empowerment part of it. We've been talking for a long time about school choice and about the evidence supporting the positive effects of school choice. And so Governor Sanders is proposing an ambitious school choice initiative. It will have the structure of education savings accounts and what she calls it, what's the term again?
Education freedom accounts.
Yes, education freedom accounts.
Yeah.
That's the best design for a school choice program because it allows parents the maximum opportunity to customize their child's education. So basically what will happen is a large proportion of what's called the foundation funding that supports a child in public schools, that's state and local dollars that are mandatory, the mandatory minimum for a child in public schools. A proportion of those dollars, I'm hearing in the ballpark of 90%, will be directed instead into an account that parents can use to purchase education services for their child, including private school tuition. It looks like the amount will be somewhere in the neighborhood of $7,500, and that buys private school tuition and probably even other helpful educational supports at most of the private schools in our state.
So talk to us about that. I know that it has been said that this plan will phase in over 3 years. What does that look like? Who initially qualifies?
Yeah, so it's going to start with disadvantaged populations of students attending public schools currently graded F based on the state accountability system. So that's kind of escape hatch, escape hatch for them. Children of military families, low-income students, and students with disabilities. So those are the initial groups that will qualify in the first year. The second year, they will add students attending schools rated D or lower. And then the third year, fall of 2025, every K-12 student in the state of Arkansas is eligible for an ESA.
Okay, well, that's great. Arkansas has the highest homeschool rate in the country. You and I have talked about homeschooling. I believe that you all homeschooled your kids.
We did.
How will this plan affect those who homeschool?
It will affect them in one of two ways, either not at all, or it will be supportive of their efforts. For homeschool families who really don't want any interaction with the government regarding their delivery of education for their child, they don't have to participate. It's a voluntary program. There's no mandate that homeschooling families participate in this program. For those who want to participate and accept the regulations that are part of the package, we don't know exactly what those regulations are now. I suspect that one of the requirements is that any child receiving an ESA has to take a nationally normed reference test once a year, and those results have to be reported to parents and reported to the state. That's likely to be one of the regulations, but I'm hopeful that there won't be excessive regulations, because in school choice programs I've studied, most notably the one in Louisiana, excessive regulations wrecked that program. Right. So hopefully the regulations will be appropriate and light, and many homeschool families will be attracted to using ESAs to augment their child's education. Now, one thing to make clear is that homeschool families most likely can't accept an ESA to pay themselves.
Yeah, okay.
They can use it to pay outside tutors. They can use it to buy education technology, to access online courses, to buy textbooks,
Sure.
to buy laboratory equipment, all those kinds of things. But in all likelihood, you won't be able to use an ESA to pay yourself. That would be self-dealing.
Right.
So,
And I think that is probably understood by homeschool families.
sure.
As you're looking at this plan, what she unveiled, we're still waiting on more details, but what would you say are the highlights or the really good parts of what she's proposed?
So the parent empowerment component, there's strong research supporting that. I think it's appropriate that it's being rolled out in 3 years. That will give us an opportunity, that'll give implementers an opportunity to sort of get their feet under themselves before it goes fully universal. Another excellent element of the plan is the literacy interventions, mandating that reading instruction be consistent with reading science. We've known this for a surprisingly long time. For like 20 years, we've known the appropriate and effective way to teach reading. And now is a great time to make sure that that's what's being delivered to children in classrooms. And children who are failing to reach literacy benchmarks, there are going to be supports in the form of literacy coaches, literacy tutoring grants. So a lot of really exciting stuff on the literacy side. As Governor Sanders said, the first 3 years, students are learning to read, and after that, they're reading to learn. So you have to have that core literacy skill by the end of 3rd grade so that you can advance and understand more material. So the literacy element is very good. The career and technical education element is excellent. And again, it's providing more opportunities to customize education for the needs of different students. So the students who realize that they're going to want to be in a trade, they're going to want to be tradesmen or tradeswomen, they can receive the technical education in high school that's going to support their career success and not be forced into classes that they're not interested in and that aren't going to help them succeed. So the career technical education component is excellent. There's strong research support behind that. So there's just a lot of good stuff in this bill.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask this. What do you think could be improved? What do you see as maybe a weakness? Are there any?
Well, I mean, it's difficult to find bad elements to this. I mean, I like to see it more, because I'm a social scientist who evaluates education interventions. So I try to avoid like good or bad and just say, is there research that supports it? Is there research that there isn't strong research that supports raising teacher salaries as a strategy to improve student outcomes. You might argue it's the better thing to do. It's a good thing to do anyway, because teacher salaries are low in our state. And at some point that will cost us quality teachers. So in terms of just, what research supports, raising the teacher salaries, it doesn't have as strong of a grounding in research evidence as most of the other components of the proposal.
I think that was one thing that I do want to ask you about. Going back to research, it shows that teacher quality only improves if you increase the starting salary for new hires. And so I think some of us were wondering, okay, is this for all staff? So would it be certified, classified, as long as you've been there, or is it just strictly for new teachers coming in?
We don't know. That's one of those details that we don't know. Presumably, if new teachers are getting starting salaries of $50,000 and, second, third, and fourth year teachers are getting like 38, 39, 40, that's going to have to be adjusted. So you're going to have to adjust salaries all the way up the uniform salary scale that governs the payment of teachers in public schools. There's a lot of research that indicates that teachers improve their first 5 years teaching. Those first 5 years of teaching experience are invaluable for teachers to get better, get more effective at distributing learning to their students. After 5 years, most teachers are as good as they're going to get.
Yeah.
I feel it was the same for me as a college professor. It's like those first 5 years I learned a lot, and then
Yeah.
I pretty much I hit my ceiling.
That's fun.
So teachers who have 5 years or more of experience, that's their teaching ability. They've reached it, and there isn't much you can do to change it after that.
What do you think that needs to happen in order to secure this plan? So let's say that the legislation is out there, it's passed, but then we still have that 3-year waiting game for a lot of families. What do you think needs to happen in the future over the course of those 3 years to 2025 to ensure that this plan holds?
Sure. Well, first of all, there has to be strong support
Mm.
for following the plan, fully implementing
Yeah.
the plan, and implementing the plan effectively. So administrative supports in terms of getting the program in place, getting all the procedures and approvals and all that in place. The good news for the families who aren't eligible right away is, if there's a learning curve, if there are bumps along the way, then they're going to get worked out of the system by the 3rd year, by the time that it's fully universal.
Mm-hmm.
So it really should be functioning as a well-oiled machine by fall of 2025, when all students become eligible.
Okay, there's also questions, and I know you're going to say, well, I don't know, that we haven't seen the bill yet, but there are churches and organizations in states like Iowa, they're running into problems with the accreditation clause. In a perfect world, perfect scenario, and we were able to say what we wanted in this bill, do you think that those funds should be able to go to only accredited schools, or should it be open?
That is an excellent question. Accreditation, it's another one of those things where an accreditation requirement gives decision makers comfort.
Yeah.
That they have quality control. It isn't a very powerful instrument of quality control. I don't think it's problematic, though. Most private schools are accredited. It's relatively easy to seek accreditation, so long as the state doesn't force every private school to get accredited by the same organization, because that would force too much sameness in private schools. We want a diversity of schools. We want variation in schools to customize learning environments to fit the needs of different children. So as long as there are multiple accreditors available to a private school, I think I'm fine with an accreditation requirement. Another very important factor is allowing private schools to enroll ESA kids while they're seeking accreditation. Mm-hmm. So if you say that you have to be accredited first, and the private school isn't accredited and it wants to serve these kids, it's just not fair.
Yeah.
So a requirement that the private school be accredited or seeking accreditation from any of a variety of accrediting organizations, I think that's fine.
Okay, talk to us then. Let's you're on Twitter. I follow you. There's been a lot of chatter the past 24 hours, especially from those who are skeptical of this plan. So let's kind of talk about those few. Can we even say that these are myths? Let's back to our myths. First of all, I've seen people kind of talk about, okay, well, I'm skeptical because we're rolling this out to particular groups. Is this not going to look like something like a Medicaid or a Medicare program where Medicaid, where groups are receiving particular funds, others aren't, and the programs sound great, but in the end, the needle hasn't really moved. Is that even a cause of concern?
Well, the needle is going to move. Okay. It might not move as quickly as some people might hope, but it's going to move. Realistically, you can't implement a universal school choice program and just go from 0 to 100 in 1 year. It's you need some planning time, you need some implementation time. You need to deal with the program and refine it on a smaller scale before you go full scale. Okay. And that's what the plan is here. And if you have to limit it, if you have to prioritize, then it makes sense, to prioritize service towards students who've been disadvantaged in some way.
And really, in a way, when we hear people say this is just a voucher scam, this is only for rich families and for their rich, their kids and these private schools, it should be based on needs. And it's like, well, It is. It is
Right.
based on need.
Yeah, the rich kids have to wait.
Right.
The rich kids have to wait. The poor kids get in right away, and the rich kids have to wait.
Yeah.
So-
Okay. So then talk to us then. Debunk that brief myth. This is a voucher scam. We're seeing that a lot.
Well, it's not a voucher program
Yeah.
to begin with. You know, a voucher is a single payment made, given to parents that they can bring to private schools solely to cover private school tuition.
Yeah.
That's what a voucher is. It's a government coupon, you might say, that parents can cash in for private school tuition and private school tuition only. These education freedom accounts are not that, because parents don't even have to use it for private school tuition. They can use it for a variety of other services that support their child's learning. They can use it for tuition plus other things. It's not like a single government coupon. It is a savings account that parents manage to support their child. So it's basically like the people who say this is a voucher program. It's like people going to Bud Walton Arena and watching a Razorback basketball game and saying that's a football game. It's not. It's a basketball game. So the reason they're saying that is that the teachers unions have spent a lot of time and a lot of money demonizing the term school voucher. And that's not what we're dealing with here. And it frustrates them that they can't legitimately lay the voucher label on education savings accounts or education freedom accounts, because it's not what they are.
Yeah. What would you say to those who are skeptical or just hesitant about this plan? What would you say to that person?
Well, it's not like we are out on some wild frontier. Other states have done this. You know, Arizona has been building toward universal school choice for over 20 years, and they finally enacted their plan to get there this year. West Virginia is going to get there very quickly on the heels of Arizona. Iowa just enacted a plan that seems to be very close to the plan that Governor Sanders is proposing, in that it's an ESA and it builds to universality over 3-year periods, so a similar time horizon. So we're following in the wake of what Iowa is doing. Utah also is getting to universal school choice very quickly. And of course, Florida has had a variety of successful school choice programs for many, many years. And it's starting to get jealous of these other states that have passed it by in the move to universality. So Florida is going to make a move to go universal soon. So we are in very good company. We are joining other states that already are at the forefront of expanding the empowerment of parental school choice.
Would you say what a difference an administration makes? You've been doing this for a number of years, fighting for school choice one way or the other, studying it, researching it, providing data to lawmakers for a very long time. Talk to us about what this feels like with the new administration.
Previous legislative sessions, certain legislators have proposed ambitious school choice programs. And then Governor Hutchinson reacted to those proposals, tamped them down, slowed them down. And that's how we got small pilot programs, the Succeed Scholarship Program and the Philanthropic Investing Kids Act. And something's better than nothing. But these are really small programs serving desperately needy kids. And the people of Arkansas, I think, aspire to more. They want more parental school choice than the previous administration was willing to provide to them. With this legislative session, everything was reversed. We have plenty of state legislators who want to support an ambitious school choice program, but they deferred to Governor Sanders because Governor Sanders said she wants to lead on this. And so she's working with those legislative leaders to design the program, to launch the program, and to fight for the program. So it's a totally different. There's a different person living in the governor's mansion right now.
Yeah, well, it's a welcome change, isn't it? Anything else that you want to add before we let you go that we haven't covered?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the debate and the discussion over this proposal goes. Again, because there are so many good things in this bill. Choice, literacy, career and technical education. These are all great educational ideas that have been percolating in our state for several years. And the governor's team has brought it all together in this one reform package.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your expertise. We really appreciate you having you here, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Very good. Happy to be here.